SchoolPod houses over 40 reports, with many more currently being developed. We've listened to the needs of our schools and are constantly keeping up with the ever-changing tides of local authority and government data report systems. From attendance statistics to quiet achievers, or incidents over time to chronology, we're sure to have a report to cater for your needs. And if we don't, then we'll develop one tailored specifically for your school. So let's find out more about the reports. To access the report section, we click on the report link at the top of the page. This brings up the 5 report tabs, which filter down into subsections for the individual reports. So let's take a closer look at the behaviour reports. The behaviour reports are broken down into 6 subsections: incidents, points and prizes, sanctions, bullies and victims, physical intervention, and provision mapping. Each of these house powerful and useful reports that can integrate and function within all schools, but it's normally a case of finding the ones that work for you and your pre-existing systems. The first subsection we have is incidents. Incidents over time. Incidents over time is used to look at trends of behaviour over select periods of time, so you can see any recurring patterns at the click of a button. It brings together all slips recorded into their individual slip types, which you can see from the key on the right. And by hovering over the bars, it'll bring up the amount of slips recorded. Now if we look underneath the graph, we have the drop-down filters. Group by specific time frame, show as a bar, line, or area graph, show the average, choose whether or not to include a total count, and set the y-axis to linear or best fit. Now in the bottom left we have a really useful tool which you can utilise across almost all of the reports, the filter tool. Selecting this will bring up everything you can filter your results by, so you can get really specific with the data in your graphs. The filters are broken down into 8 sections. These can be used in any combination you see fit to bring up the results you need, simply by selecting the filters from the drop-downs. So say you wanted to see a specific class's results for last month. Or a year group's incidents for this term. Or say you want to get really specific and bring up a single student's results for a certain class over a specified date range. With these filters, you can. And whatever you filter by is shown in the breadcrumb underneath the chart, so you can clearly see what information is being presented. With this graph, you can also double-click on the bars to see the original slips that make up this number. This is a really useful tool for looking even closer at the data brought up in the chart. In the bottom right, there's an options button to specify what's calculated in the totals count, an export button which will generate an Excel document for your offline use, and the print option so that you can keep a physical copy in your school. Group report. The group report is a simple graphical way to view big group information. The default pulls up slip distribution by form as a pie chart, showing immediately where incidents are occurring. In the show drop-down we have slip distribution, positive point distribution, negative point distribution, and positive and negative point distribution. Next to this is the by drop-down, which brings up almost everything you'll need to filter your results by. You can show these results by either bar or pie chart, and we've also added an auto refresh checkbox, so that if you wish to keep this page up, you can have it refresh every 15 minutes so that you're constantly kept fully up to date on the goings on in your school when it comes to points or slip distribution. We also have a filter button, export and print. Chronology. Chronology is a fantastic report for extensive amounts of raw data. It compiles information from all slips recorded and brings them up in the list view so that you can easily search for and look into every individual slip you require. Immediately you can see this report shows a world of data, and with that you can filter by all of these categories to help be really precise when searching for specific slips. As you can see here, it defaults showing the top 100 incidents of this academic year. Now we can change this using our filter tool. Say you wanted to see all the slips of a specific student for the past month in a specific class. Simply select their name from the student drop-down and change the Show Top to All. Change the date range to this month and the subject to the one you desire. Now all slips added for the student during this month recorded in art lessons are presented in the list view. From here you can drill down into the slip by double-clicking on the slip you wish to view, and this will bring up the original slip. Now this can be amended and changed as you see fit, and every change is recorded in the commentary section so that anyone can see the changes made, by whom, and when. This way everything has a digital paper trail and everyone's kept firmly in the loop as to changes within the slip. Now a great tool we have in Chronology is the Pick a Winner button. Say in your end of year assembly, we bring up all students with positive slips for this academic year. We then click Pick a Winner and a student is selected at random to win, say, a prize or some house points. This is a great incentive for students to gain slips in a positive way. Behaviour Radar. Behaviour Radar is a heat map. This is great for providing obvious data analysis over vast amounts of information, so that any anomalies or patterns really stand out. So let's say we want to see during which period the most slips are recorded. We simply select slip from the x-axis and period from the y. And as you can see, after school is when the most commendations are handed out. And you can also see that commendations are handed out far more than any other slip. In the quick filters we have the X and Y axis. We also have a positivity drop down and a for drop down so that you can be even more specific when bringing up your results. We've also added a filter button so that you can really narrow down the results to show exactly what you need to see. We've also included an export and print buttons so that you can use this information in a CSV or keep a physical record for your school. Behaviour pattern. The behaviour pattern shows behaviour types in an easy to read chart broken down into months. This is great for viewing how many different incidents have occurred and any patterns that may be happening within your school. The height of the bar depicts the amount of incidents in total for that month. Each individual colour represents a different incident in the key on the right. Now if you have a lot of incident types, you can scroll down through these using the blue arrows, and if you hover over any of the boxes, this will give a slight drop shadow to the bars in the chart, so you can see exactly where incidents are occurring. Now if you select the behaviour drop down, it brings up all behaviour types, helping you to narrow down your search results. So say I wanted to see all physical interventions performed by staff across this term. I select intervention from the drop down, and this shows me that only 3 forms of physical intervention have been performed, and that May had the most incidents recorded. We also have a filter button for more intricate filtering, and a print so that you can keep a physical record for your school. Behaviour occurrences. The behaviour occurrences compares behaviour types like the behaviour pattern, except this gives you the exact days of the occurrence, showing far more detail in the occurrences. As you can see, the dates within the list view are sporadic, as they'll only appear in this chart when a behaviour type is recorded. Now if you hover over these bars in the chart, it'll bring up how many of each behaviour type has been recorded. There's the quick filters for immediate access of data, and this helps to break down the enormity of the results initially brought up. A really great report to view just behaviour occurrences over time. The second subsection we have in the behaviour reports is points and prizes. Points. The points report is one of the most detailed reports in the system. Now at the top in the quick filters we have a year groups drop down, a show points for drop down, and a show points by drop down. Now if we select behaviour from the drop-down, the list view changes. You still have the same selection of students, ad number and UPN, but the rest of the columns are taken up by behaviour fields where students are gaining or losing points. Now if we select a student, the entire points history appears so you can see any areas of concern or good behaviour. If you select a specific number from the list view, this brings up only those points and when they were gained or lost, the teacher involved, the period, the field name and the field points. This is great to really monitor how students are getting on and what they're accomplishing or where their failings are, so that you can address these accordingly. Again, we have the filter button for really specific searches and an export button to generate a CSV report. League table. The league table is a great way to chart slip counts or points for students in a league table. When this is initially brought up, you'll see all students are anonymised. This is a great tool for if you wish to show a specific student where they are in terms of ranking, but not let them see who else is above or below them. You can change this by deselecting the anonymise checkbox. Now at the bottom we have the rank drop-down for selecting either a specific student or the main parts of the league, being the top 3 to 100 or worst 3 to 100. Then there's the in drop-down. This defaults as school when a ranking is selected. If we have a student selected, the in drop-down will produce their class, house group, key stage, school and year, giving you the opportunity to rank the student against their immediate peers. The by drop-down is used to filter for all slips, positive slips, negative slips or information slips. Then you can show by the amount of points or slips depending on how your school uses these two systems. And again we have a filter and a print button. Quiet Achievers. The Quiet Achievers is a report for those students who never really get in trouble but also never stand out enough to be commended. Reports are generally created to target those doing badly or showcase those achieving above their level. This report shows all those keeping their heads down and getting on well. We have a date filter at the top so you can filter over a specific date range, and at the bottom we have a filter and export button so you can generate a CSV report. Shop. The shop report shows all shop items purchased by students within the school. You can use the quick filters to search for a specific student, year group or form. In the list view you have all students, their form group, year group, the items purchased and the cost of the item, the date purchased and whether or not the item has been given to the student. This is a great report for the school shop team to keep track of stock counts and to create a paper trail for the purchases made within school. The third subsection we have in the behaviour reports is sanctions. Exclusions. The exclusion report is a list of all students who have received an exclusion and the accumulative time of all the exclusions they've received. This is a great tool for seeing who's really standing out in a bad way, giving you an opportunity to step in and find out what's been going on. By double-clicking on any of these bars will bring up the slips the student was excluded for so you can see the reasons why and find out those involved to inquire further. In the Show drop-down at the bottom you have the choice to view a most excluded rank, group by individuals, forms, houses, key stages or years, and view by all, internal or external exclusions. We also have a filter tool with an export and print button for offline use. Detentions. The detentions report is a great report for instantly viewing how many detentions over time your students have received. It defaults as this academic year and is a great indicator of any patterns occurring or consistent bad behaviour. This report will only show months that detentions have been given out. You can show by total number of detentions or total duration. group by month, week or term, show as a bar, line or area graph, set the total on or off, set the average on or off, and change the y-axis to linear or best fit. We also have a compare mode, so say you want to view this year's detentions for the school versus last year's. Simply click the compare mode, select the B filter and select last academic year from the When drop-down. The fourth subsection we have is bullies and victims. Bullying. The bullying report is a great report for use with Ofsted, as we've added the last 5 years functionality so that you can view any 5-year trends of behaviour. This report shows the students where the word bullying has been included in a slip against them. You can use the quick filters to search by a specific student, year group, form or date range. From here you can also view the slips counted against the student by clicking on the number in the date column, and then you can go directly into the slip. Victim. The victim report shows any students where they were added to a slip as the victim. This is a really efficient report for showing immediately any students who require action on their behalf. The list view shows the student names, their year group, gender, ethnicity, mother tongue, religion, SEN status, and the slip count for how many times they've been victimised. Another feature is the View Graph button. If you select a student and select the View Graph button, you can see if any patterns have occurred or hopefully the decline in them being the victim. The fifth subsection we have is physical intervention. The physical intervention report is a half-term breakdown of all physical interventions and slips written up with physical interventions included. Each of these sections keep a really tight grip on the physical interventions recorded throughout your school and help you to see any patterns or areas of concern. The sixth subsection we have is provision mapping. Summary. The summary report is an overview of provisions set up in your school. Simply select the provision from the quick filter and this produces a list of all students involved in that activity, their gender and how many sessions there are per week. Days out. The Days Out report shows you which students are out of the school due to provisions set up and when they will be out for. If we select a week from the week filter, it brings up a list of all students going to be away, the day the activity takes place, and the periods they will miss with which activities they will be doing. A really great tool for keeping track on who's where during your week. Provision Review. The Provision Review is the report that you can use for checking who's up for a review of their provisions. Simply select an activity from the Provision drop-down and choose a year group if you wish. Then from the list view you have all students involved in that provision, their year group, their SEN status and their review date. Subject Report. The subject report is a really powerful report bringing up vast amounts of data on each student taking part in provisions. Search by class, subject or SEN status, or view the entire report by leaving these drop-downs set to all. Also, if you click on the student name, this will bring up their student profile so that you can amend any data that requires changing. Tutor Report. The tutor report matches that of the subject report, except the quick filters are changed to house and form. This way you can filter your results by a different set of quick filters. That brings us to the end of the behaviour reports. So let's take a closer look at assessment reports. The assessment reports are broken down into 4 subsections: students, targets, passes, and data quality. These are for ease of comparing and viewing assessment data in simple to use and easy to read list views and charts, which will make your life easier when checking on your students' assessments. Assessment card. The assessment cards show attendance compared to the amount of slip data. The bars represent the number of slips and the lines are the attendance data, so you can see a direct correlation between slips and attendance. The other 3 graphs are for subjects and show any trends or patterns between the selected students' attendance and their grades that have been awarded to them. Each report card drop-down is for all the subjects available in your school. In the bottom left you have a drop-down to select the student you wish to view, and you can also group by day, week, month, term or year. You can filter by selected date range by using the filter button, and this report can also be printed out so you can keep a physical record in your school. Grades by class. The Grades by Class report gives an overall summary of your entire class. Simply select your class from the drop-down and every assessment is pulled up in the list view with the students on the left, along with their assessment grades in their respective columns. At the bottom we have percentages for the students above, on and below target and those not graded. We also have an export button for you to generate a CSV report. Students v subject targets. Students versus subject targets is a report created for ease of viewing students compared to their class target progress. This report has a colour coordinated list view to display students above target, on target, any progress being made, not on target and below target. You can use this report to check an individual student's, year groups or forms progress. This report is used by schools to keep watch and check progress of students throughout their years at the school, as the report allows you to backdate and check grades awarded in the past. It allows a school to check which students need to make more progress, where their failings are, and shows it in an assessment by assessment basis so you can determine where specifically students need help. Ethnicity v targets. The Ethnicity versus Targets report allows schools to check how ethnicities within their school are performing and if it produces any discernible patterns. The ethnicities can be filtered upon to determine this, along with a column for ethnicity so a school can filter upon a certain target or assessment and compare which ethnicity are performing better or worse than expected. Again, this report can be backdated to view how students have progressed throughout their years. The third subsection we have is passes. Passes by ethnicity. The Passes by Ethnicity report allows schools to see what students have achieved with an emphasis on their ethnicity, so you can see any trends or patterns that may be occurring. The list view can be filtered by group, and the list view produces the breakdown of results on the left, the totals, then their main grading types. A really useful report for viewing the overall progress in your school. Passes by Year Group. Passes by Year Group is a report that lets you view percentages of students achieving grades against any targets or assessments set up in your school. This data can be backdated and filtered on all year groups and assessments, and the data is brought up in these 2 graphs. Grades v Year Group. The Grades versus Year Group report allows schools to view their grades awarded to different students in separate year groups. The quick filters are subject, level, being school, teacher or national, the assessment, SEN status and carer. When a subject is selected, all students with a grade are brought up in the list view correlating to the grade gained in the assessment. You can see here any students in blue have an SEN status, and any in green have a gifted and talented status. The fourth subsection we have is data quality. Assessments not completed. This report is extremely useful for keeping track on assessments not completed or outstanding. The quick filters provide the options of date, the staff member involved, the class, subject, and an assessment percentage completed drop-down. Using these quick filters means you can be really precise when searching for a specific assessment. You also have the checkboxes to bring up the school level, government level, and teacher level assessments. We've also included a filter button at the bottom to help narrow down the search. Once we've set our filters, the list view brings up the assessment name, the subject, class name, date, level, staff member involved, and academic year. So at the click of a button you can see any assessments in need of chasing up and who needs to be informed. Full assessment table. The full assessment table gives schools the ability to create an export that contains all the filtered student grades awarded for them for each school level assessment. It also pairs every student to their class for each subject. In the quick filters you have the chance to select which year group, subjects and terms, or leave these set to all and simply click Generate. This will create a CSV for you to download and use as a spreadsheet for your offline reading. That brings us to the end of the assessment reports. So let's take a closer look at the attendance reports. The attendance reports are the attendance data broken down into 9 easy-to-use reports. These are powerful information outlets that can show great detail and clarity to give you a better view of attendance within your school. Percentage over time. Percentage over time is a great tool to see trends of attendance over a period of time, highlighting which months, weeks or terms experienced low attendance data and which had the highest. You can even filter on a student to see where their peaks and troughs are occurring. At the bottom you can group by week, month or term, show as a bar, line or area graph, and set the average on or off or change the y-axis to linear or best fit. You can also print the graph to keep a physical record in your school. Now in the bottom left you have your filters, so you can filter for more precise analysis within your attendance. So let's say I wanted to see how a particular student's attendance was this term. I select the student and change the when drop down to this term. I then click Go and this brings up all attendance for that student within this term. Next to the filter we have our compare mode. Say I wanted to compare 2 particular year groups' attendance. I click on the A filter, select the year group and click Go. I then select the B filter, click on the second year group and click Go. Immediately this brings up the 2 graphs overlaying each other for ease of comparison, and in the breadcrumb you can see what your filter comparisons are. Points over time. Reward students with points for attending lessons and deduct points for absences. Use points over time to see what the students should have achieved from their attendance and what has actually been recorded. You can even feed these attendance points into our shop. It's a really fast way of viewing where points are being distributed and any areas of concern. Attendance statistics. Attendance statistics provides a breakdown percentage-wise of attendance for a variety of groups. See which year group has the highest percentage of attendance, or maybe which form has the lowest, and all are displayed within either a pie or bar chart. The date defaults as this academic year, but we can change this by selecting the filter tool in the bottom left and changing the when drop down. Then it's a case of selecting your attendance statistic. The options are available in the show drop down, in this case class, ethnicity, form, gender, SEN, and year group. Again, a really great tool for ease of analysis. Fire report. In the event of a fire, this attendance report allows you to print out a list of all the students who have been marked as present throughout the day quickly and easily, providing you with registers to take with you to the fire assembly point. We've also included the student's mobile number in the printout if they're not where they need to be. Class attendance. Use this report to analyse any of your class's attendance over any date range you require. See how often students arrive to your lesson, if they arrive but are late, and if they are not arriving at all with our colour-coded attendance light bulbs. And you can even see any registers you may have missed in the past. If we select a class from the drop-down and a term, the list view populates with the students in that class, their class percentage and overall percentage, as well as their weekly attendance markers, showing instantly any areas of concern. School-wide attendance. School-wide attendance is a multi-purpose report that allows you to view attendance over any date range. From the quick filters, we can select a year, form, house, or class. Then we select the term dates and we're given all students from that group in the list view with their personal attendance percentages and attendance light bulbs. Now in the top right, we can see an average for the group selected and the school average. Now with these in mind, we can see precisely who's where in these averages by typing in the percentage from and to boxes, which will bring up the results in the list view. At the bottom of the list view, we have a row called Update Group Attendance. This is how we update entire groups of students. By hovering over the days, we're presented with a date, and by clicking on the asterisk, it brings up the Mark Attendance box. It gives us the selected date, the attendance status, the session and authorization status, and then we click Save. All students are updated with that attendance status. Also on this page we have an export which will generate a CSV for your offline use. Now a really nice feature with this report is the Pick a Winner button. Here you can bring up a list of students, say your year group, and bring up all students who have received over a certain attendance threshold. Then simply clicking Pick a Winner will randomly select one of those students to win, say, a prize or house points, and this can prove as a real incentive to keep students' attendance high. Sessions and occasions. Sessions and occasions allows you to view absences by specific absent codes for each of your students, grouped together by year, key stage or form, across all of the sessions that could have been attended and the number of occasions that have been absented. This helps to show which students are away and for what reason, and if these are repeating occurrences, allows you to put an intervention into place. The list view produces students, their year group, form, number of sessions missed, and on how many occasions, with a percentage of these results. Then at the bottom we have the totals of the list view broken down into gender, making it easier to see any patterns that may be occurring. Attendance certificates. Our attendance certificates are easy to read records of students' attendance across any academic year. Simply select a student from the drop-down, and all of their data is pulled up in front of you, including their contact details should there be any discrepancies that need rectifying. In the centre of the screen you have their term markers for AM and PM registrations split into half-term 1 and half-term 2. Then we have the walk-in walk-out chart where you can see in an instant if this student has been skipping any classes. Then we have the average attendance against all your attendance codes, giving you a clear view of this student's status when it comes to absences and their reasons as to why. From this page you can print out to keep a physical copy for your school records or export into a CSV for offline reading. Walk-in walk-out. The walk-in walk-out report gives you the tools to see which students are attending the AM and PM registrations but not attending the lessons in between, giving you the opportunity to question why and put a stop to any unauthorised absences. You can compare different sets of attendance data using the compare mode, so if you'd like to see a student's attendance this year compared to last, just activate the compare mode and filters. That brings us to the end of the attendance reports. So let's take a closer look at the local authority reports. The local authority reports are broken down into 4 subsections, and these are the 4 local authorities we currently cater for within our system. Now, if you join us and have specifications laid out by your local authority, then we're more than willing to accommodate those and bring in the functionality to our system. The first subsection we have is Kingston. Racist Incident Log. The Racist Incident Log records any racist incidents that are recorded in the slips and generates this table so that you can see instantly any areas of concern that need rectifying in your school. You can search by terms, and the table breaks it down into about the incident, about the victim, about the offender, and any actions taken. This report is really useful in the fight against racism. The second subsection we have is Tower Hamlets. Half-termly attendance. The half-termly attendance report is a breakdown of your school's attendance through from nursery all the way up to year 11, with every absence code as to the reasons why. For every half-term since autumn 2011, you can track the attendance of your students with pinpoint accuracy and get the percentage of the overall absence, unauthorised absence and authorised absences broken down for ease of viewing. This report can also be printed and exported for your records. Persistent absentees. Persistent absentees is a great report which records pupils' absented sessions and flags them up in this table. You'll only have data here if students are persistently absent from your school sessions, and the chart will bring up their data. This report works on a build-up basis, so your students must have the amount or more absences than the chart displays to end up on this report, alerting you to the issues clearly and hopefully before it can get any worse. Disproportionality. The disproportionality report is a great way of viewing a breakdown of your students by gender, year group and ethnicity against the total number of students with persistent absences and the percentage of those students. You can also export and print from this page. The third subsection we have is Brighton and Hove. Bullying. The bullying report is a bullying summary by type. It brings up your school and school number, and all the boxes are automatically filled in for you, so you can export this report and send it off to your local authority. This saves so much time and is ready when you are, so that by week 2 of each term, this is automatically prepared for you. The fourth subsection we have is Leicestershire. IECP. IECP stands for Individual Education Care Plan. It's a very specific way of inputting and outputting the data dependent upon fields ticked within specifically designed slips. After recording the slip for a student, their IECP data will be produced in this report. Select the term you wish to view data for, and it will bring up the term date and the name of the student, their subject, an adult who set the IECP, and then the data itself. Targets to achieve, how it will be achieved, what will help, any reviews, and the current level that they are at. This is a great report for keeping track of all individual care plans set up in your school, and these can be exported or printed for when you have meetings with the students to review their progress, and this will automatically print out a page per IECP so you won't have multiple students on one form. That brings us to the end of the local authority reports. Let's take a closer look at the Parents Report. Parents' Evening. The Parents' Evening Report is a really useful way of showing parents how their children are doing by way of slip entries. This report can be filtered for specific students or can just be printed out with all student slip entries ordered together, so that individual bundles of slip data can be handed out to parents so they can see how well their child is getting on. This is a really nice way of getting more information to the parents to give them an opportunity to ask about the slips and individual incidents recorded against their children. So that brings us to the end of the reports module for now, but our development team are constantly creating new and innovative ways to make your teaching day easier. If you'd like to find out more, you can email us at inquiry@schoolpod.co.uk or call us on 0844 544 6685.